Laura here from What Laura Likes. So we are on chapter 20 of the Handbook for Catholic Moms, and today we are talking about the saints. So if you want to find out what a Catholic really does with saints and if we pray to them, stick around. Alright guys, so before I get started, I just want to say that today is my first day where I have a full face of Mary Kay makeup, which is really exciting. I got my order yesterday. So all the products will be linked down below. Like I told you, I'm not going to be crazy Mary Kay like videos all the time, but you know, I just wanted to mention that I'm really pleased with all the makeup I got. So especially the brow gel, because if you have eyebrows like this, getting some brow gel is an amazing thing. Okay, so we are on chapter 20 of the Summer Book Club. Make sure that after you watch this video, you check out the other ladies in the collab. I totally forgot to mention that last video, so that's the thing. Also, my son, we got some clouds coming in because there's gonna be a storm, so if my lighting changes, that's what's going on. Someday, I will buy some soft lights and be able to film not like facing a window, but until that happens, this is my life. All right, so chapter 20 was all about the saints. What I want to do is first read something that she wrote because I think it just says it so well. The truth of the matter is that we Catholics don't pray to saints, but rather with them. In a moment of crisis, you may turn to a trusted friend and ask her prayers on your behalf. The Catholic Church teaches that since the saints dwell in heaven, they may intercede with God the Father on our behalf. They're already hanging out with God. Just as you would ask your friend for her help, you can and should turn to the communion of saints and ask their prayers on your behalf. Okay, so the thing with the saints is like, they're like our buddies, right? They're our friends in heaven, and they want to help us. There are patron saints for different causes, things like headaches, illnesses, teachers, any kind of occupation you could think of course, mothers, fathers. And saints are just people in the throughout history who have been deemed to have led lives in such a way that enumerate various virtues, or they are martyrs for the faith, or doctors of the church, or different things like that. So I have a whole pile of books here, and I kind of wanted to talk about first like how I interact with the saints, and then also more importantly I think is how I teach my children about the saints. Studying saints is something that's really fairly new to me. I think the saint that I pray to the most right now would be to Mary. Like, she's just kind of the ultimate mother, and so I just find her to be the one I look to the most to guide me through my day, to guide me in developing my virtues and getting rid of my vices. And her gentleness, her patience, her willingness to be God's servant is just, it's all right there. And this really helps me. I'm so happy I got my miraculous medal on a chain finally. The liturgical calendar also has saints almost every day. And so I use my Latte app, and they have Saint of the Day in there, and they usually have more than one saint. It's so fascinating the more you learn about these godly men and women who give their lives to God. And it really helps you to kind of realize what we should be doing on this earth. So the saints really help like ground me in that. And so then the other way is that besides kind of looking at the saint of the day through the liturgical year, I do like to read like the diaries of the saints. So I got this from Queen of Angels Catholic Store. They sent this to me and I love it, and they gave me this awesome Divine Mercy bookmark. And so actually I think I'm right here. I'm not very far into it, but it reads really fast because it's kind of broken down into these paragraphs. See how there's like different paragraphs and things, so it goes quite quickly. But I just, even reading this for 5 minutes a day can just ground you in striving to be a saint. And you know what's so interesting is until recently, I didn't even know that we were supposed to be striving to be saints. I thought sainthood is for priests and nuns, and that normal people like me and you couldn't be saints. Like, it wasn't even something that was to be striving for. I mean, isn't that crazy that I've been a Catholic my whole life and I didn't know that like that was the goal? When you approach life striving to be a saint, it's like a whole different ball game. And I feel like my life would have been really different had I been, I mean, really, really different. Like, I might not be married or with kids or at all. I might just be like a missionary somewhere. So if you don't know that, like, because I mean, I'm not someone who's not exposed to things, so I don't know how that slipped. And I know that so much about the faith can just slip through people's fingers, you know, it's like there's just so much. Just remember that that's how important you are to God. And they say that like the saints form like this inner cloud around God, and like I I want to be part of that inner cloud for sure. And I would pray that all of you do too. Okay, so let's talk about how I teach the kids about saints. And I have lots of resources for you. So if you have been struggling to figure out how to teach your kids about the saints, I got you covered. I kind of already talked about some of this in another video, but I really do want to share in case this is the first time you're coming across me, or this is the video you're watching and you didn't know about these resources, because it's that important. I have a bunch of these books, right, that have like a bunch of different saints in them. I have 5 books that are like a compendium of saints. So I have Saints and Angels, which I absolutely love because it's very, very beautiful. And it has all like the main saints in it. I have this Children's Book of Saints that's old and still a goodie. I have the First Book of Saints. This is another one of those like classic ones from like my childhood. I have Once Upon a Time Saints. These are amazing. I want to get all the rest of them. They are written in story form. And then finally, I just got this one from the Queen of Angels Catholic store in Jacksonville, Florida. And this one I love because pretty much every single saint that I want to expose my kids to is in here. I will find what saint it is, right? So Saint Dominic, it was Saint Dominic today. I just went to these because these are in order. So here he is. And then this is a page, and of course I'll link this below, as well as the other ones. And so we just read the little snippet, and then typically my kids will want like more stories, and so we'll just read some more. I have a whole video where I talked about all the different books I use for the catechism, so I will make sure these are really classic, beautiful pictures, which is why I love this one. Look at the St. Patrick one. Look at that. So awesome books, awesome books. So that's the first place I start, is I find like a story or two in a compendium for my kids. There's so many, and there's so many more, but they're just really worth it. So we read the story, and that way we can talk about that saint. Sometimes I like quit asking questions. What saint is it? You know, what saint's feast day is it today? What did he do that was special? Sometimes I'll go online and find a picture and just print it out so that my kids can color that saint, like Saint Kateri. Saint Kateri is, I think, the first American saint, or the first Native American saint for sure. So these books are great. These are St. Joseph picture books, and these all came in a 26 book set that I'll link below. But I think you can buy them individually for like $3, but the set was like 26 for 26, I think, so it's like $1 a book. And they have so many awesome books, all these catechism books and things. But these are the saint books they came with. So St. Kateri, St. Francis of Assisi, St. Patrick, Mother Teresa, well, St. Teresa, and Padre Pio. And they're quite long and detailed. So there's a picture and then some words on every page. But they're quite detailed. Like, we didn't even finish Padre Pio in one sitting. And these are awesome if you guys are doing narration with your kids. Like, to read a couple pages and then ask them to tell you, you know, what they just heard is a great way for it to really sink in. And then we also have storybooks just on the saints. So, of course, anything by Tommy de Paola, I hope I'm saying that right, is amazing. And so he has one on St. Patrick because his mother loved St. Patrick. And so if you haven't read, like if you read Stregonona or anything, it's obviously the same author, and the images are all going to be very familiar to you. And so this one is beautiful, and we read this every St. Patrick's Day and throughout the year. And then I found these, the Life of a Saint book. These are great. So here's St. Terese, you know, the little flower Lizia, and I love St. Terese. I love her little way. I have her diary on my Kindle, and I just love it. Oh my gosh, and this nun that gave her such a hard time. So this is the images here with some words. These are easy to sit down and read. With St. Bernadette's. And we love St. Bernadette in this house. Like, we watch her movie all the time. We talk about her all the time. She's just such a great model for living just in such a quiet way, in such a pleasing way, you know, in such a humble way. I mean, she is just humility itself. And I think that, I don't know if it's just in this day and age or any time, that kids aren't being raised to be humble. It's all about being smart and being right. And I recently heard something about, I think it was an Imitation of Christ, which I'll link down below because I love that book. And I'm going to make that book part of my giveaway because I love The Imitation of Christ. It's like one of my favorite books of all time. But I think it said in there something about how it's more important to be kind than it is to be right. I don't think we're teaching our children that. So, I mean, I am, hopefully, in some ways, but it's something hard to teach because I don't think our society is rewarding kindness. They're rewarding being right and being smart and being ahead. And so that's how I talk to my kids about sainthood, or the saints. I do want to say that I'm going to come out with a review, like hopefully this week, about the PACE program, which is the character development program that's specifically made for Catholics, but like anyone can use it. But there's a huge saint section where every character development you're working on, I think there's 9 or 10 character traits. She lists both saints that possess that virtue, like say self-discipline, and then she also lists saints that struggled with that virtue. And so it's really amazing to, I think, to study saints that have fallen and still gotten up. You know, like St. Paul being so tragically bad and then turning around and becoming St. Paul. And oh my gosh, you guys, if you haven't watched Paul the Apostle, the last 3 minutes of that movie I mean, the whole movie's great, but those last 3 minutes, the love, I don't want to say too much, but it's so good. And that movie does such a good job of showing his failures in his young life. There's just saints for you. Make them your friends. Talk to them like they're your friends and ask them to pray for you like you would your friends. So make sure you like this video, give it a thumbs up, and also subscribe to my channel if you're new here. Welcome. And make sure you ring the little notification bell so that you know when I put a new video up. And until next time, God bless and have a beautiful day.